Hi, my name is Judge, and welcome to the second part of my 135 card Murder at Castle Nathria Arena review. Last time, we finished off on Kel'Thuzad the Inevitable, a mage legendary with synergies with volatile skeletons, and we will start this video with our first mage volatile skeleton card, which is a 6-mana spell of Frost called Deathborn. Deal 2 damage to all minions, summon a 2/2 volatile skeleton for each killed. So right away, looking at our first card with volatile skeletons, we can see already that there can be ways to get a whole lot of volatile skeletons right there with one card for KT. So there's that to consider first and foremost. So pretty cool there. I think I always look at expensive spells that are particularly 2 damage AoE and think that's not a lot of damage for that much mana. So how good is it going to be? And I look at something like Blast Wave for that kind of thing, where it's like 5 mana to deal a Consecration. Is that getting a little bit too much? It hits your own side of the board. And the answer was no. Blast Wave was great, and it produced value, not tempo. This is 1 more mana, but it not only is AoE, but also those volatile skeletons all have that death rattle. Remember, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. Could be hitting face, so if they play AoE right back at you, they could be taking a ton of face damage. I think this card's going to be really good. I think there's the Blast Wave way to look at it. Then there's also the, of course, Cycle of Hatred way to look at it, being like it's 1 less mana for a very similar effect to Cycle of Hatred, except you get skeletons with a death rattle on your side of the board instead of just vanilla stats. So I don't necessarily think this card is going to be as good as Cycle. That's 1 less damage is a pretty big deal, but I do think it's going to be quite excellent. Like, those are some pretty serious damage dealers, those volatile skeletons, where you can get a bunch of them. Also, just like Blast Wave, you can upgrade your minions, right? You can upgrade your 1/1s. You could play something that gets a little bit wide before you come into Deathborn. Seems actually pretty versatile and quite strong, and feeds your KT. I think this is going to be quite excellent. Next up, we get another volatile skeleton synergy card, and that is a location, Night Cloak Sanctum. It is 3 mana and has 3 durability and reads freeze a minion, summon a 2/2 volatile skeleton. So when you pack it all together, you get a 3 mana 6/6, dealing 2 damage to random enemies 3 times and freezing 3 minions. That's very strong. That's very, very good. Of course, don't forget the locations you do need to cool down for 1 turn before you can use them again, so it is a little slower. But I think when you bundle that all in together into 1 card, get a consistent, 3 volatile skeletons, that's quite strong. That's quite strong. I think another thing worth noting is that when you play a location card, it's one thing to just add up all the stats and effects and say that's how good it is, and another if you get tempo immediately. This, you can play it and get tempo immediately, not too far off of an already existing 3-cost bomb. So it's even crazier, because it's not like you have to go too far behind in order to play this and then keep reaping its benefits without missing mana in the future turns. So I think that's another very, very strong location. And I believe our final volatile skeletal synergy card is Cold Case, 4 mana, summon 2 2/2 skeletons, and gain 4 armor. Okay, so in Arena, a lot of times you look at something like gain 4 armor and go, that's usually not important. That's usually not relevant. You need to look at what the spell does for tempo or for immediate value. And this provides an okay amount. I think in theory, a 4/4 that deals 4 damage should be nuts, but you can't target it. So it's no Baba Naga, not even close. But it feeds your KT, maybe. That could be fun. And it's just solid. It's acceptable. It's not going to be a 4 you're like, yes, this is amazing, but it seems acceptable to me. Right on. Next up, another mage card. 2 mana, Frozen Touch, deal 3 damage, infuse 3, add a Frozen Touch to your hand. So, potentially, infinite 2 mana, deal 3 damages that can't even go face, but you need a lot of minions to die to get continuous value out of this. I think for Arena, this is going to be great because it's a Dark Bomb, but better, and Dark Bomb is a good card. It's kind of like a Frostbolt. You're probably going to get this infused, unless you're using it on turn 2 or 3. Infused 3 does not seem like a ton, so maybe you save this until you can play it twice in one turn, or twice in back-to-back turns, and you'll have a 2-mana deal 3 damage, draw a 2-mana deal 3 damage, essentially, which is very good. So I feel like this is just going to be like an upgrade on a lot of the typical 2-mana deal 3s that we've seen. Including just an upgrade on Frostbolt and an upgrade on Dark Bomb. Looks very strong. Moving on from Mage, we have a 5-mana 3/4 Paladin Epic called Elitist Snob. Battle cry for each Paladin card in your hand randomly gain Divine Shield, Lifesteal, Rush, or Taunt. Okay, so I have to imagine that this works the exact same way as like Ibis, where you can't hit a keyword more than once. So if you have 4 Paladin cards, you're going to get them all. Feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm quite confident that must be the case. Here's the thing. A lot of people look at this card and say, oh, it's Ziliax. And, you know, in Constructed, where you can play cards that are going to add Paladin cards, or Silverhand Recruits, as we might see in a second, and you can make your own deck of fully Paladin cards, pure Paladin, that's going to be true. It's going to be a better Ziliax. Well, okay. It's going to be a standalone Ziliax. And that's amazing. But in Arena, where Ziliax shines is its consistency. You know exactly what you're getting out of it. It's very strong, but there's no low roll. The low roll for Elitist Snob is huge. A 5-mana 3/4 that does nothing, that's unplayable. That's going to lose you games. So I'm not so sold on this. It's going to be really dependent on how many synergy cards. I'm kind of like, how many of the next card we're going to see here in a second get offered. And also just how many class cards. Normally, Arena is a lot of neutrals. Some class cards, but if you draw this late in the game, it's just going to be dead, and I don't think that's good enough. You're going to get those extreme high rolls on curve, and it's going to be, it's going to be great, but I don't think the risk is worth it. I don't think this is going to be, I think the lack of consistency is going to make this not super great, but we'll see. Could be very wrong on that as we come into the next card. 1-mana 2/1 Paladin card, Sinful Sous. Death Rattle, add 2 Silverhand Recruits to your hand. This is an Acorn Bearer, but with Silverhand Recruits. And like Druid, Paladin is a very tempo-based class for the majority of drafts. And this card looks amazing, right? It looks great. It looks very similar to an Acorn Bearer, maybe even better, because I do think that the Silverhand Recruit synergy is probably going to be more likely to hit than Beast Druid synergy. So this is going to be extremely strong. Extremely strong. And notice, the Silverhand Recruits, are those neutrals? Those gotta be Paladin cards. Okay, yeah, of course they're Paladin cards. Of course they're Paladin cards. So you're gonna get Sinful Sous Chefs, and you're gonna play them, and then you can, hold on to those Silverhand Recruits as you curve out, and then your Elitist Snob looks nicer, because you've got those cheap Silverhand Recruits in hand, helping out your Elitist Snob. Maybe that can happen. Seems like not consistent enough for Arena, in that sense for Snob, but Sinful Sous Chef will be amazing on its own. Really, really strong. Next, we have a Paladin Legendary Minion. 3-mana 3/3 Steward. The Steward. Nice. Death Rattle. Give the next Silverhand Recruit you summon +3/+3 and this Death Rattle. And this card is absolutely nuts. This card is insane. 3-mana 3/3. Make your hero power summon 4/4s. that's not bad, right? Like that's better than Justicar, you know what I mean? Okay, so Silence Tech against this will be amazing. If you don't have it, that is just an unreal amount of stats you can gain from this card. Every single one. And notice it doesn't have to be this turn. It doesn't have to be. You can not summon a Silverhand Recruit for a while and wait 3 turns and then summon one and it still has the Death Rattle. Right, it's just the next one you summon, not this turn, or, crazy. That's just an absurd amount of stats packed into one card if you don't have a Silence. Your hero power is just a threat in itself each and every turn. Crazy. It's going to be interesting because the right play is going to be sometimes to leave this card in a position where it can't trigger its death rattle, really try to mitigate some stats coming in from it. But this is a very easy card to review. It's a ton of stats, and that is good. This card will be very good. Next, we have another Paladin card. Buffet Bigot. 4 mana, 2/4, battle cry, summon 2 silver and recruits. Infuse 3, give them +2 attack and divine shield. It's, man, yeah, another really, really strong card. That's crazy. So, at its worst, I guess it's not crazy. It needs, if it's infused on curve, that's gonna be nuts. At worst, it's a Grim Necromancer, which is actually a bit of an underrated arena card. At best, is you curve out, maybe you play your Sinful Sous Chef on one, you can get a couple Silverhand recruits in with other curve, and this will be easily infused. And then you're playing a 4 mana 2/4 that summons 2 Scarlet Crusaders. It wasn't that long ago that Scarlet Crusader was just an amazing turn 3 on its own. And now, at 1 more mana, you get 2 of them and an extra 2/4. Absolute insane amount of stats. That's going to be another tough one. Paladin is getting a lot of stats here. Crazy. Yeah, really strong card. Next, we have a 2 mana. Is that a Hunter location? Switching things up here. Give a friendly minion +2 attack. If it's a beast, give it Rush. And it's got 3 durability. That seems pretty good. 2 mana, dealing a total of 6 damage over the long term. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem with this card. This is 2 mana to spend on a card, and then you're giving minions Rush, not Charge. So is this actually just going to get in the way of drafting other cards that I could use to go face instead of trading? Which is a real question, because in theory, 2 mana, deal 6 over the long term should be good. Giving a couple cheap beasts Rush could be strong. But I feel like it's a little bit inconsistent to try to go for, especially if you're drafting a typical Hunter, where you're drafting to, ship everything to the face. +2 attack? Great, maybe this is actually for, now that I say that out loud, maybe this is actually for giving a minion +2 attack, and then that minion's going to the face. So maybe, if we look at it that way, and this is a potential 2 mana deal 6 to the face, that could be good. But then it wouldn't really be a curve play. I'm wondering if the better use of this card is actually going to be like on turn 5 or 6, and you just really push through the mid game going face. It seems strong. It seems strong enough, but maybe not as strong as it seems. Because I think that there are other cards that you're going to want more to ensure more damage is hitting them in the face. Next up, another location, this time back to Paladin. It is a 2 mana Great Hall. Set of minions, attack and health to 3, and it has 3 durability. Oh my goodness. That's very good. That's very good. They're printing some strong cards in this set. Remember, what was it? Dark Conviction? Where you did this once for 2 mana? Now you get to do it 3 times, and that is just insane. 2 mana, 3 pieces of hard removal. In some ways, it reminds me of Cascading Disaster, where you have just a ton of hard removal. You can remove a bunch of really big bodies, but this is a little more versatile in you can wait, turn by turn as they come out. A little bit worse in that it doesn't destroy them, but you get 3 pieces of hard removal packed into 1 card. This would be good at 4 mana, right? This is really strong. Really strong. Gotta be an auto pick in Arena. Next, we get the figurehead of the entire expansion. Well, I guess alongside Murloc Holmes. And that is Sire Danathis. 10 mana, 10/10 legendary. Lifesteal. Battlecry, deal 5 damage amongst enemies. Endlessly infuse, deal 1 more. This card is another one that looks like it's going to have some a pretty big impact. That is a scary effect, and I think like any infuse card, we need to look at this and say, okay, what if we top deck this? It's a 10 mana 10/10 lifesteal, battlecry, deal 5 damage. amongst enemies. So in the same way, it's randomly one at a time. It's not like you deal 5 at once, or it's just like an arcane missiles type effect, but with how much the battle cry is. So if you top tick this, it only deals 5 damage. You have no other minions on board. You play it. It's 10 mana, 10/10 lifesteal. That heals for 5 immediately, and maybe pings off a couple things. That seems good. That seems like it actually still could be a little slow and inconsistent in wrong circumstances, but it seems very good. Even sometimes playing just a 6/6 Cthulhu could be fine on turn 10, and there's just such a step above. So then you ask yourself the question, okay, how likely is it to get that battle cry to be better? I think the answer to that is extraordinarily high, because it's 10 mana. It's going to, by nature, sit in your hand and grow and grow and grow. And that's exactly what this is going to do. And at any more than 5 damage, as you get even just a little bit more, this becomes an absolute juggernaut. Crazy card. And it's really, to me, the lifesteal that puts the icing on the cake. This can be used as a finisher, because the damage can go face. It can be used as AoE. But really, it's you heal as well right away. And even if they were going to keep a decent board, they can't ignore a 10 attack lifesteal each and every turn, especially after you just healed for a whole bunch. So this is going to be a must deal with. This could absolutely nuke boards. It could nuke faces. Looks like it's going to be very, very good. It is worth mentioning. It is 10 mana, and not all games go to turn 10. So you could just be sitting, getting this battle cry up to 20 damage and be like, yes, this looks great. But then you die on 8 because you didn't have enough cards to make it to turn 10. And that's going to be a rough go. But that's the same as stuff like Ysera. Same as stuff like Alistraza. Same as stuff like Raid Boss Onyxia. Will this be in that realm? I think just shy of it, but it should be interesting to see. The card looks very, very good. Next, we're just powering through locations here early on in this review. We get the Rogue location, Sinstone Graveyard. 2 mana, 2 durability. Summon a 1/1 stealth ghost. Has +1/+1 for each other card you played this turn. So, very similar effect to Edwin Van Cleef. And just seems like perhaps... So Edwin Van Cleef was more stats, and it could get way out of hand. This seems like, for 2 mana and getting 2 cracks at it, you can do some stuff with this in Constructed. This isn't a review for Constructed, but I wonder just what people are going to come up with that, because that's a dangerous effect, and one that you can't interact with. You can set this up and then get a full turn to make sure this pops off. Very interesting. In Arena, the question is, how many stats do you need from this to make it worth it? Because if you're playing this on turn 2, you're not getting a 2-drop, because you're not going to use the effect on the turn you play it on turn 2 most of the time. Worth noting, you can play this, say, after a coin. Say it's turn 1, and you backstab, and you coin, and you play this, and then you use the effect, you'll still get a 3/3, which is already worth 2 mana. So you can play it after the cards, no problem. I think that the amount of stats you need to get from this is probably roughly, I want to say like roughly a 4/4. You're going to have to slow down most likely a little bit to play this, and Rogue doesn't love to slow down. It's tough. This is a tough one because the potential's high, but it seems a little inconsistent, and that Rogue is such a tempo class that it wants to not ever give a chance for that lack of tempo to be there in the early to mid game. So I'd say looking forward to trying it, but I feel like the consistency, again, is just not that high with this in Arena. So I think with the light enough deck, I'd be looking to try it out, but I'm thinking it might not be as good as it looks in Arena. Next, we have a very interesting card called Relic Vault, and it is also a location. How many locations have we gone through? It is also a location, this one for Demon Hunter, and it is 3 mana, 2 durability, and reads the next relic you play this turn cast twice. So what the heck is a relic? Relics are draftable, collectible cards, as well as cards you can cast with other effects, and we will look at all that later, another time, but I will share with you what the cards are. We'll review them later. The cards that are relics, there are 3 of them, are the following. We have Relic of Phantasms, which is 3 mana, summon 2 1/1 spirits, improve your future relics. Relic of Dimensions, draw 2 cards and reduce their cost by 1, improve your future relics. And Relic of Extinction, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion twice, improve your future relics. So as you can see, the idea with relics is that you play one or you have one cast by your location or another effect, and then your next relic will be better, and then your next relic will be better, and they spiral, they spiral, they spiral. This kind of thing is usually not very good in Arena, because you can't consistently get a lot of relics, like you can in Constructed. Same with like Jade Idols. They were great in Constructed, they don't really work in Arena because it's tough to get that consistency. So, how good is Relic Vault going to be? It casts it twice. It casts it twice, that's pretty good. Already that becomes pretty good. 3 mana. Let's take a look here. So let's take a look at how each of these improves. The Relic of Phantasms will simply summon bigger minions, so it'll be 2 1/1s, then once it's upgraded, 2 2/2s, 2 3/3s. Those stats start scaling pretty quickly. Relic of Dimensions, draw 2 cards and reduce their cost by 1, would then reduce the cost by 2, and then 3, etc. An Extinction, deal 1 damage to a random enemy minion, would be deal 2 damage to a random enemy minion twice, 3 damage, and so on. So, looking at the scalability of these relics, it seems like if you can cast only 1 or 2, these are going to be terrible. But if you can cast any more than that, these are going to scale very fast and be very good. So the simple answer to how good is Relic Vault going to be is, do you have a lot of relics? Because then it could be pretty sweet. Do you have no relics? Well, this is garbage. So there's my expert opinion. It's, I think though that casting it twice could make possibly not as many relics required to make this quite good. You get to play it right away. So what do you say you have your Relic of Phantasms, you play your Vault, and then next turn you get 2 1/1s, 2 2/2s. That's not enough. That's not enough. You need more. You need definitely more relics than that. Tough one. Probably gonna be like bad. Probably gonna be bad until it's insane when you have a lot of relics. So that being said, moving on to a really interesting looking card called Ramornia Living Blade. 7 mana, 4/10, warrior legendary with Rush. After this attacks, equip it. So what the heck does that mean? It's quite simple. Once this minion is played on the board, it rushes into something, it will then become a weapon. It will be taken off the board and be equipped as your weapon, which you can then attack. Say you attack this into a 2/3, and your minion becomes a 4/8. Then you'll get a 4 attack, 8 durability weapon, which you can then push into something. Your durability goes down to 7, you get your 4/7 rush, which you can then immediately attack again. So this becomes just an insane, versatile card. You can use it for a huge flame strike effect, maybe even keeping a weapon or a minion left alive. You can use it as just like a quick prod with the blade, like the minion, and then wait until the start of your next turn to attack face with the weapon, and then repeat, right? And then repeat, getting those prods, 4 damage to the face each time, protecting your Ramornia unless they have weapon destruction. Another really interesting thing about this card is that effects that affect the minion will also affect the weapon. So if you buff this, you buff the weapon. Even cards, I believe I saw Celestalon say Power Word Feast would then refresh the durability even, which is just absolutely insane that you can you just grow this right on back. So there's ways to keep this alive. I think at its worst, this card is awesome, and at its best, the card is just mind-blowingly good. Very cool design. Really looking forward to trying that one out. And to end us off today, we will look at, I believe, as far as I've heard, the only other card to be banned from the arena right off the bat after Prince Renethal is Insatiable Devourer. So 9 mana, 4/4, epic, Battlecry, devour an enemy minion, gain its stats, infuse 5 and its neighbors, is not going to be allowed, which I think is probably a good call. This card would be one of the most infuriating cards to play against. It is absolutely mind-blowingly strong. You think about how everyone was calling for Mind Control to be removed. And that was a 10 mana to gain 1 enemy minion stats. This comes with a 4/4 and gains its stats for 1 less mana, and then maybe also grabs the other 2 minions beside it as well. In fact, Infuse 5 at 9 mana is not the most difficult thing to overcome. You compare this to Dark Moon Rabbit, and it looks like a piece of trash. Dark Moon Rabbit, of course, looks like a piece of trash. Crazy strong. Clearly, they're really looking to push some expensive minions to be played and constructed. We've seen it tried with stuff like Coilfang Warlord, which are just insane amount of stats. This card's nuts. Will it be good enough to see constructed? Always tough to include those high cost cards in that mode. So, but yeah, we don't have to deal with this in Arena, and some people might be like, oh darn, at least we could have tried it. And you would realize right off the bat, this card would just be so frustrating, so game-ending. You could be winning the entire game. This comes down and just wins the game. So I think it's a good call. I think it's a good call to remove Insatiable Despoiler. I don't think it'll be missed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching part number 2 of this review. Once again, if you feel like you've got something to say about any of these cards, you disagree with something I've said, you think there's a valuable point about a cool card like a Ramornia that you want to let me know, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Do not forget to hit that thumbs up button and that subscribe button, and I'll see you for part number 3 in the next video.
My name is Judge.
Whose name is Judge?
My name is.
Whose name is Judge?
My name is.
That's a silly name.
Judge.
Okay, that's enough.